Hi, my name is Terry Lee, and this is video 4 of our Dragonfly Flight book. I wanted to show you something really quick. We made the little flip book in part 1, and I wanted to show you what I did. I cut the flap off. There's the one flap left over, and we had talked about putting a 1-inch strip on either side of it and using it as a little flip over here. I decided I didn't want it to have that extra thickness, and so I just cut the flap off. So it still works the same way. It still opens like this and flips over, and it still has the same number of, pockets and things like that. It's got 2 pockets on this side, 1 pocket on this side. And then we're going to, or you are going to decorate yours, and I'll decorate mine. But I just wanted to show you that, and that I have papered it. So you're going to need kind of a bit of paper unless you have some scraps so far. I've also, let me set that somewhere. I'll set it in my tray of stuff. The other thing I wanted to show you is that I have papered all but the ones we're going to work on, because they have elements that tuck under the paper. So I have papered all the big papers through here. I still have some envelopes to go. It's at your discretion. We already went over how to cover one of these and how to put the piece in here. So I really don't feel like we need to go over that again in the video. It's just redundant information. But I did go ahead and cover all the large papers. I tried to match the papers with complementary, like this has the yellow, so I used the yellow one here. These two, where's the paper? These two, oh, here it is. It came off with the, these two are pretty much the same, only in 2 different colors. But, well, they're not the same, but they look similar, and they're in 2 different colors. But we're going to be covering this with quite a bit of stuff. So I wanted it to be more neutral. So I've gone through, like I said, and I've covered the papers. Now, this is just like one of these little envelopes, only it's a big one. So I put a strip here that I slid down inside, and I glued it. And then I covered this page. And then this will be covered the same way as we did on the other end. This one and this one will be covered the same way that we did this one and this one. Okay? Not necessarily the same papers, but using the same method. So we're not going to go over that again. Okay? So what we're going to do first, before we start on this page, is you've seen me do CD covers before and all that good stuff. We're going to go over it real quick. The only reason we're going to talk about it is because we're going to be using the Sizzix, our Big Shot, on this too, a die cut. So I just wanted to review very quickly. This is the cutout from the circle. We're not making a card out of this time. The crowd roars, hey! Anyway, so I did cut out the front cover like we always do. And then I cut out a paper for the inside. I'm missing a paper. Oh, that's the paper for the back. This is the CD inside. I had a paper. We're going to cut a rectangle this time for the card that slides inside. And I'm pretty sure I had a paper, but I don't know what I did with it. So all we're going to do is, I made this one bigger, I think. And so I had to mark the top. So we're just going to glue the papers in and then be done with it real quick. But I just wanted to show you that once again, all we did was make the X. We ran it through our Big Shot with the circle. Now, mine's one size smaller. than what I need, so I have a little bit of leeway room. But the front covers are 5 by 5. The back covers are a little bit different because of the gap, because the CD usually goes in there. I tried making a 5 by 5 for the back, but it didn't want to close, so I did have to trim a little bit off the top, and that's why I marked the top. So when you've disassembled it, you're just going to glue the paper in, and all you want to do is make sure that when you're looking at it from the front that you've covered everything that you can see. We're just going to go through this really super quick. Just in case some of you haven't seen my other videos, I want to make sure that you know the steps. I think my glue's kind of dried up a little bit. It's full enough. It should be coming out like crazy. Watch the bottle burst in my hand or something crazy. Okay. So now, the other thing is, this paper is not directional, so it doesn't matter which way we put it in. I wrote on it this way, so I'm thinking that I wanted it to go this way. And I made marks, since we're not making a full page, I made marks on the opposite corners of where it should go so that it would definitely cover the hole. Let's make sure. Yeah, so now that covers the hole. I used the same paper for the back as I did for the inside. So now, oh, the other thing is that I had trouble disassembling the CD cover by pulling the glue apart. So what I did was I just ran my my little craft knife down the inside of it and just cut it open that way. We're going to paper it. The papers are going to be glued together. It doesn't matter that I didn't do it. Anyway, we're going to leave one side open for a pocket anyway. So I had to do that. Sometimes, you know, disassembling it, reassembling it, and then just cutting one side just isn't going to work. So then we're going to glue the paper on the front. If you haven't seen me show you how to use the Big Shot, check out some of my earlier videos, and I have actually gone through, even though it wasn't a tutorial on how to use it, I've gone through and showed you how to do it with one of these CD covers exactly. So you can go through the previous videos and you can find one that actually has the step-by-step. Now this one, the Dragonfly, could be considered directional, but he's okay as far as I'm concerned in that lower corner, because he's going to be going on the page sideways, and he's going to go this way. Well, that does make him upside down now, doesn't it? So let's take the paper off. Let's see, he's going to be going in sideways, so that way it would work. I think I like this way, that if I have to choose. Now that I have to choose, I choose this. Okay, I'm going to glue the paper back down, or stick the paper back down. Now, even though I inked this, I didn't really leave a lot of space, you know, for the ink to show. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to just glue the paper on the back. I'm not going to show you that. I've already showed you enough gluing to last you for a lifetime. So I'm just going to paper clip that together, and then once you do that, you're going to set it aside in the tray with your little book, because we're not working on that page today. Okay, now the page that we're working on is the page that originally we were going to put this flappy envelope on, to where we put the envelope under the paper using the flap, and then it opened up like this, and then it opened up like this. As you can see, I had fun with my Big Shot trying to I didn't have this is a case where I didn't have anything that was the right size. This had paper up the middle. This actually turned out kind of cool. I took the saran wrap out, and then I just cut it straight across on the top and the bottom. And let me see if I've got... And so you can see the way it turned out was kind of cool with this little thing here. But then I didn't have any way to cut the paper for it. It's all dependent on the size die that you have. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll cover that with paper and I'll cut one on the other end. Well, I did that, and then I realized that it was one size too big for the picture I wanted to use on the inside. Fortunately, this is a junk mail envelope, and it was perfect to test on. I also tested out cutting through the envelope by placing the die face down where I wanted the hole to be, and then just laying this over because the Big Shot is only 6 inches wide. You have to have the Big Shot Max or Super, I don't know what it's called. Super Max is a prison. Anyway, so I needed to fit it through closed. So you put it the side you're going to cut with down anyway, the blades. So it doesn't matter that this is closed over it. You know what I mean? It's not going to cut a hole in the back side. And then you can close this and then just run it through, and it will cut the hole on the side that you want the hole to be cut. Another problem was that this envelope goes down, and so when the envelope was closed, you could see this part. Now, papering on the inside, if we were going to use a removable picture, would have worked to fix that, but we were going to use it so that it opened, and then you would see anyway, it was just a mess. So I decided to set this aside and figure it out another day. Don't worry, I will figure it out. We'll use it in a different book. Maybe we'll use it on another page in this book. I'm still working on it. I saw her do it once with Angela Kerr. I saw her do it once with a British sized envelope, and the window size is different, the envelope size is different, and so it worked for her. It just wasn't working for me. Okay, so this is just a scrap paper. There's a lot of papers that are about that size that we'll be working with, so I had to label everything. All right, so this is the big page that we labeled where we're papering over the pocket. And we put folded envelope here, but we're not going to do that. Now, you've seen me do one of these before where you put the flap over and put the writing card underneath, and you're going to think, oh my gosh, now she's making another one the exact same way. No, no, no. We're not making it the same way. We're sort of making it the same way. We're just not making the underside the same way, if that makes any sense, which it probably doesn't. So what we're going to do first is we're going to set the book and the page aside because we're going to work on the envelope first. So now this is what I did do. I'm trying to keep everything together here. There's lots of moving parts. This goes with this. Maybe I'll put this up here. Okay, so what we're going to do, what I decided to do, I guess I had already cut these papers, and I cut another one because I didn't realize I'd cut it. So that one goes over there. That's why I label everything and put paper clips on it, but I just missed it in the pile. So what we're going to do, this is the card that's going to go inside the envelope as the writing card. So we don't need that, so we're going to set that aside for right now. Okay, and what we're going to do is I took, oops, I don't want to tear the, I made my own cellophane out of a little zip bag that something came from Amazon. And then this picture is a piece of ephemera from the kit. So what I decided to do, since from my debacle with the other envelope, I knew I did not have anything that I could cut this with. I decided to make a fake window with the saran wrap and the picture behind it. So there's not a real window with the built-in cellophane that I'm using, that I'm sliding a picture behind. What I did was I used my die cut, and my die cut machine with a die, I guess is the best way to put it, and I cut a rectangle one size smaller than this picture. Then I took the cellophane and I made it as big as I possibly could, so I had room to glue around. It's kind of iffy around the bottom and the top, so we're going to have to see how well we do gluing that in. But so what the effect is going to be is that the picture will be in here, the saran wrap will be attached to the paper, then the picture will be attached to the paper, and then it will look like there was a window in the envelope to begin with. You guys ready? And then on the back, we're just going to put a piece of paper. All right. And then we're going to do a couple other things. Now, I have this written down step by step in an order that makes sense to me. So your mileage may vary. Let's just put it that way. So I'm going to disassemble the envelope. You know me, I love to take envelopes apart. But it's going to make your life easier because you need this flap, just like in the other envelope. And it's going to make it easier because we're going to cut the flap off. Now when we glue the back paper on, we have to remember to glue it here so that this is glued to the paper, so that when you slide things in and out, you don't have to restrict yourself to just being this wide for your card, because we're going to make a card for the inside. You guys have seen me do this before. I don't know why I was worried that I had it close enough to myself to stay on camera. It is easier to do this if you have it in the right position to yourself. Okay, so we got the card, or the envelope. We're going to take it apart. We're going to flip the better side up. There's this side down here, which would be fine, except for it looks like it stayed glued to the paper farther in. And I just want to leave it there, and that's what we'll glue back to. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is cut off the flap. And the reason we're cutting off the flap is so that we have the opening to put the card in and out. And you can see that I've inked it. But that's not all we're going to end up doing to it. Okay. You want to make sure this one has a pattern on the inside. So as long as you line the pattern up, then you should be, what is up with this? Maybe this is a junk mail envelope. They may not be exactly straight. So I'm just going to line up the pattern, whether that ends up being straight or not. Cut the flap off. Yeah, it ended up not being exactly straight. Now, we're going to glue the paper in. We're going to, the flap is going to be here, and the opening is going to be here, but it's going to be this way. So, well, that presents a quandary now, doesn't it? Because I didn't look at that. I've got two papers for sliding the card in and out so you don't see this part. So let me look at this for a second. I also thought this was going to be too dark, and it is a little darker than I wanted, but the milled lavender wasn't quite as dark as I wanted, and I guess I should ink this in this color as well. Everything but the pages I've done in this darker color, which is Seedless Preserves. I have a color one shade darker than the lavender that will be here tomorrow. But once I get going on a project, while I've got it in my brain, then I like to go ahead and film the tutorial. I have tutorials filmed ahead. This is April, and I believe I have some through maybe the beginning of July based on my publishing schedule. So we're going to ink the inside of the window as well. Yeah, I think this will make a better contrast. Like I said, I wish it had been one shade lighter. I'm not sure what the what color the other one's going to be, so I'm not sure it's going to be exactly what I want. Anyway, okay. Looks like I missed a little spot there. All right. That means we have to do the back as well. Sorry about inking on camera. I'm trying to do it as quick as I can. I just, at the last minute, realized I wanted to go, or needed to go, the one shade darker to match all the other elements. So basically, the pages are done in the milled lavender. The book is done in the bundled sage, and the edges are done of all the elements are done, and the ephemera are done in the Seedless Preserves. So I don't mind inking in different colors. I think that different parts, different elements can be better accented by different colors versus, like, say, coloring everything with tea dye all the way through, or coloring everything with vintage photo all the way through. I have a color, speaking of inks, that's halfway between tea dye, halfway between tea dye and antique photo and vintage photo. I don't know why I call it antique photo all the time. And that, I've discovered, is antique linen. Now this looks like a light tan, but it's not. It's one shade darker than tea dye and not as dark as vintage photo. So if that helps you out, and I hope it does, then and then of course the darkest one is the walnut stain, and then you go on to the there's a coffee one, or actually a coffee one, then a walnut stain, and then black soot. So if that helps you out. All right, so now the quandary that we're in is gluing this paper so that it covers the inside of the envelope, because this is the side we're going to be cutting the thumb hole in. And this side is going to be the top side. And I made one for both. Plus, well, this one I did ink it all the way around. Normally I only ink one long side because you only see one. So let's see. We can always take another envelope apart and do it differently, or look for a junk envelope that doesn't have the thing, and you're not going to see the whole thing. And we're gluing the envelope back together with the paper. I'm wondering if we put the paper on the back first, then we would have something to glue this to. But then I would have to glue the envelope back together. So let's look at this for just a second, because these are the things you're going to run into when you start doing envelopes. Now, I think I would be all right just gluing the one side and then waiting until I put the paper on, once I put the envelope back together, and then glue the other side to the inside of the envelope. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But I am going to leave this on here so that I can mark, whoops, I'm going to leave this on here. So I want to mark how far down the edge is going to be on here, which I guess I could glue this other one on first, but you're still not going to see how far down it's going to go. Maybe about there. Even when you glue it down. So let's open this up so we don't accidentally glue the side that's going to be open, glue it shut. We're going to run the glue along here. Okay, then we're going to go around here. So we're gluing the paper on. Then we need to center it according to the line. Here's our line. And then there's a little bit of space on the top and the bottom because this is narrower. So just move it up a little bit so there's a little bit hanging off. That way you can be sure that you can close the envelope. But really it should be fine. Mine's a little teensy weensy bit crooked, it looks like. So I'm going to slide it over because I don't want to have to cut the edge off again, even though I might. So now you'll see this covers that part. And that looks like it'll work fine. Okay, now we're going to open this side. Now we're not using this window. We're going to glue the paper. Now remember, this part didn't open all the way. Let's unglue it a little bit. Well, maybe I can. No, it's starting to tear, so I don't need it to open all the way down. And we're going to glue this paper in right here, and that way when you go to take stuff in and out of the envelope, because I'm debating on making a thumb hole, then you'll see this backing paper and you won't see this. So let's glue this. Now this one we can glue the paper because it's going to be paper glued to paper all the way down. I tried to spin that like I was still bartending, even though that was 30 years ago. Love the smell of acetone first thing in the morning because it is 5:30 here. I was going to start at 4:30. because I got up at 1:30. Okay. So I had to pull that over just a little bit. So you can see where this started to tear, and that's why I stopped messing with it. It doesn't really matter. We're going to glue this one back down, but I just didn't really want to have to deal with this rough edge at the top where we're gluing the two papers together. I just didn't want to deal with it. Now remember to leave this flap open. We're going to glue this envelope back shut just on the sides, because otherwise we don't have a pocket anymore. And did you guys see what I did? I'm going to have to glue it back inside out. Otherwise, my papers are going to be wrong. And in fact, they are anyway. I wasn't looking at the inside. I glued them on the outside where the papers were going to be. So let me try that again. Fortunately, I saw it in time and I was able to pull it off before the glue completely dried. So you want the papers to be on the inside. Ta-da. And not the outside. Not ta-da. Okay. And now that I don't have to describe what I'm doing, I can do it fairly quickly. Now, like I said, normally I would only ink the side that's going to show. Which is the outside edge. Like I said, doesn't matter that it's covering the window. Okay, now we're going to glue the envelope back shut. This side's going to stay on the inside. This is going to stay on the outside. And we have to glue it in a little bit farther because of the way this closes. Well, we actually, yeah, we're going to have to glue it a little bit farther in. So that's going to make our pocket a little bit narrower, which means off screen I'll recut the card that goes inside a little bit smaller. But when I say a card slides inside, I'm pretty sure you guys know what I mean. Make sure this flap is on the outside. Oh no, that one's on the outside. This one stays on the inside. Yeah, see, this end we're gluing all the way out because we're not flipping the paper out. So now, where we cut the top off, we now have a pocket. Now, we're going to have to do the same thing when we glue the back paper on. The paper will still go out to the right size. However, it will need to be, well, actually, we've got the paper on there. But we have to be careful because we don't want to get the glue on this side. Why does that not want to stay together? I'm wondering if I missed a corner or I just didn't put enough glue on there. I had some funky stuff on the end there. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we've got our opening, and it opens towards the outside of our book, okay, because it's going to go this way on the page. The picture's going to go at the top. I decided I was going to put it at the bottom, but then I thought it would be harder to realize that you flip it up. So I'm going to put it at the top. So what that means, now the back paper we're just going to glue on the back without gluing the pocket shut. Maybe we should go ahead and do that now and get it over with. So we don't want to go past our paper. We just want to glue the paper on. Now, let's make sure that's our top. Let's see. And, oh, this paper is our non-directional. This paper is pretty much non-directional as well. You want to make sure that you go ahead and make your little edge show at the bottom, because when you flip it up, you don't want to see this part right here. Slide that over just a little bit. So I want to make sure to cover, there's a little bit at the very end that is still the color. I need to run a little teeny bit of glue, little teeny bit right there. Trying to get that glue off. I don't want it to melt my contact paper. I got some new contact paper for this tabletop, so you won't see the blue anymore. I don't know if you're going to like it, not like it. I don't know, but I kind of like the idea of the wood on the wood. I also got a glass cutting mat. For these two items, I would like to thank my stimulus check. We're going to flip this over. We're going to flip this over. And the first thing we're going to put on is our cellophane. So we're going to put the glue around the window. Close to, especially on the top and the bottom, because our cellophane is very close to the edge. On the top and the bottom. Normally it wouldn't matter. You could have a little teeny bit of opening, but what I mean is the piece is a little iffy on the top and the bottom, and you don't want to have to slide it because you don't want to get glue on the cellophane where you can see it. I'm going to try and make it as flat as possible. Boy, that's awful close. And now I'm going to glue this picture down. And I was actually thinking about, I used to, when you remember in the old days when you had those mats that went in your picture frame and you had your family pictures and you had all these different holes cut out. I always used to tape mine. We're going to glue this down on this paper anyway. And I'm not sure I want to take a chance on getting glue on the acetone, or not the acetone, but the plastic. So I'm going to make sure this is where I want it. Flip it back over. And I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape. You'll notice I had it ready. Wasn't sure. I'm going to hold it down, and then I'm just going to put a piece of Scotch tape over it. And then there's a very narrow edge here. That's another reason I was worried about gluing. And just another piece of tape there. Whoops. Yeah, see, that did miss the top. So I'm going to glue the side. What is up with my tape? This is probably 30 years old, the dispenser. And I think the little blade is finally getting dull. That's just my personal opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm going to tape it down the sides. Just to make sure that it doesn't move. Doesn't need to be all the way down. It just needs to hold it in there. And now you can see it looks just like an envelope cellophane with a picture behind it. That worked out rather well. Now we're going to glue this paper onto the front of the envelope. My dog is in the other room making all kinds of weird asthma noises. He doesn't have asthma. It's just sometimes he makes this weird noise when he breathes. Just for a very short period of time. It's not, you don't hear it all the time. And it isn't like, you know, having a bulldog or whatever with a flattened face that has difficulty breathing all the time. You know, like a Lhasa Apso or bulldog or any one of those breeds. He just has this weird noise he makes every once in a while. It's not snoring either. The first time I heard it, I admit I did freak out. I thought he was having an asthma attack. Okay, so now we've glued this paper on. And now this is ready to go. Like I said, I think I'm going to have to recut the card. Yep, just a teeny bit. I'm not going to put it in there yet because the glue's still wet. Next thing you know, I'll be gluing the card inside the envelope. Now, you can see that obviously a thumb grab right here would not, you know, like in the center, would not be cool. We could put a tab on this, but I'm not sure that I want to do that either. So I'm thinking I could put a thumb grab down here in the center between the window and the bottom. But then when you go to pull the card out, it's going to pull out crooked. So let us think about this we may end up having to put a tab on it. Put it on my tab. Let's make that a smidge shorter. Oh, I should have cut off the other end. I just cut my dragonfly in half. Not cool. I don't want to make a whole other card. Okay. And this is double-sided printed. And I printed it with the neutral color that almost looks like, I'm going to paper clip with the little card, or the little note that says envelope card. You got little pieces everywhere here. Oh, that's what I did. I glued the wrong pieces in here. I did only have one side cut. So I will end up having to put you on pause because I really wanted this picture here. Now it looks like, because we glued it in, that it glued in too far. I wonder if it's still, no, it's dry enough. Oh, plus we've glued the ends in. But it's white. It's white with the color. I can live with that. I'm going to ink it again. In fact, I wonder if I inked the whole thing. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Okay. All right. I can go for that. Yeah. Looks like I have a little corner here. Having a trouble with my corners today, aren't I? I don't know if I should say this every time. Dried out baby wipe. Sorry about that with the microphone. It may have made some noise. Accidentally stepped on the cord and then went to move my stool a little bit closer. Okay. So now this is done. I'm going to probably put a fussy cut dragonfly. Oh, I wanted to show you this. There's a kit by Junk with Stuff on Etsy. Remember I told you about combining different kits or whatever, and there's some dragonfly ephemera on there, but in this kit, Dragonfly Flight, but no individual dragonflies. So I got this kit and it was fussy cut dragonflies. There's a little cream colored outline around them so that you can cut around them without having to try to cut out the legs. And that's a good thing. And the little head. But I'm thinking maybe two small ones. This one big one is too big. Let's see. Yeah, I think the one big one would look too big on the paper. So I may even shrink the size of this to 2/3. I really like this dragonfly right here. I would like to use it on this page. There's a dragonfly in this picture, but it kind of gets cut off a little bit. I really like this picture. You probably can't see it on the camera. There we go. Because of the reflection. I think that looks nice. So I'm going to use that as a decoration on here, but I'm just not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. Okay. on here I have adding a thumb pull, but now that I've got this little disparity, I'm definitely not. So I'll probably put a tab on the writing card so that you know that it's there. Okay, get all my stuff together here. This is the same paper. It might be in the lighter color, this might be in the blue, and this might be in the yellow. And it fits right in there. I'm going to leave it sticking out a little bit so that, you know, you might could even do that instead of putting a tab on it. You might could leave it sticking out just a smidge. That's kind of nice. Kind of looks like a border that way. All right. So now we're going to set this aside, and we're going to get out the paper for the book. And I am now missing 2 pieces. So let's get a scrap. I think this is actually the same. It's the same as the writing card, only in the different shade. And it's the same as the back of the card. So I think I'll use this. We're going to need 2 pieces the same size as the page, which, let me look in the book, is 8 5/8 long. So we're going to make it 8 1/4 long. Let me see here. 8 1/4 inches long by 1 inch wide. I'm writing it on the notes so that I put it in the PDF. I'm trying to make a PDF for this one, but I've changed my ideas several times, and I have all these crazy notes. All right, so we've got 8 1/2. We're going to have 2. You'll see. You'll see in just a minute. We need 2 of them, 1 inch wide. I don't know. What about 1 1/4? This doesn't seem quite wide enough. I'm going to make one at 1 1/4, and then we'll compare and see. I think 1 1/4 is going to be better. I got lucky on that. Oh, it moved. That's the only thing about this, or doing such a small width. You can't grab onto it on either side. So you kind of have to lay it down and hope for the best. You should see the piles that I have of scrap paper, and I'm not even anywhere close to being done cutting out pieces for the envelopes. We got this pile. And I have this pile. Anyway, this pile, the bigger pieces. Okay. So now what we're going to do, instead of just having the flap hold down a writing card, we're going to we're going to put 2 tucks, one on either side, just a smidge left on the top and the bottom. Oh, now I'm going to have to ink these. That's why those were inked all the way around, because they were the ones I had cut for this, but they were only 1 inch wide. So I'm kind of glad I had to redo it anyway, because I think the 1 1/4 is going to work better. That's what happens when Terry's winging it. I know lots of people wing it. And if you make a mistake, you have to redo it on camera. So I don't feel that bad. I know I'm pretty scripted, and some people think, well, that's a little nuts. But that's the way I think. You know, I make a list. Do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. Because in my head, I know what I want to do. In my head, in theory. So we're going to make 2 tucks. And then the writing card, should we make 2? I wanted to make 2. Because we can't slide the card up, the writing card up to get it out. And I'm wondering if it's going to be too hard to slide it out. I didn't make a size on this yet because I wasn't sure. If we, and this is 110 pound paper, and it's printed on both sides. It looks like printing on both sides. It, my printer moves the wide side of it. It prints out one wide side for the white and one narrow side, so it prints them out on opposite sides. Okay, so if we cut this card, we could cut it narrow enough that we could take it out of both sides. That was my goal, was to have the 2 tucks and have the writing card in between the tucks and put a tab on the bottom so that you could pull it out. I think we're going to try it. The worst thing, hold on just one second. Geez, everything up to this point has probably been really loud. I had my microphone so high up. I think we're going to go for it. The worst thing that could happen is we have to cut a new backing paper and go with just one. You know what I mean? Because we can't get the writing card in and out easily enough. So let's just glue the outside edge of each one. Probably should, oh boy, that's a terrible gluing job. I probably should have broken this into 2 parts. Because we're nowhere really actually near being done. But if I cut it apart right now, the other one will be very, very short, I think. Okay, so we've got this one glued in. Let's glue this one in. I didn't want to glue anything until I was doing the video because I didn't want to give away what I was going to do. Lisa, that's doing the other half of this series with her 6 videos. Is I've seen in one of her earlier tutorials, it was a mini photo album. It was a very good video. I think there's 12 of them because she does 1 page for each month, plus the basic page builds, so it's almost a 20 video series. It's very, very good. Anyway, you get the coolest book when you get done. So make sure to check out her 6 videos on this series, and then also other videos, you know, on her channel. So now I can see just a little bit of that down this side. That isn't enough that you would notice it on the paper when we glue it down, but it was enough that I could see it on the edge, and it was making me crazy. All right, so now there's that paper. We're going to have to cut the page that slides in here. I'm not going to do that on camera. You guys can cut a square or rectangular piece of paper and slide it up to where it goes. It's held in by these little tucks, one on either side. You slide it in, and then we are going to glue this on here so that it makes a flap, and it is a smidge longer than the page, and to tell you the truth, I don't mind. I thought it was going to come out even, but it isn't. So now, if it bothers you, let me look at it in the book to make sure it doesn't bother me. Oh, because we've got the little edge around the paper, and so at the bottom the little edge equals up to this little edge of the flip. That's why it's the same size. Okay, so going back, we're going to glue this flap. Oh, what I was going to tell you about Lisa was she had one of these flaps like this, and then she had 2 doors that opened, and that was kind of cool. But she had 2 pages like that in her book, but you would never know it by looking at the way she decorated them. Okay, so we're going to fold that over and glue it. Make sure that it's even. Make sure that it's opening and closing. And see, you are going to see that little smidge, but there's no way around it. Okay. And then we glue the page into the book. I'm going to take this paper clip out while we're doing that. You can see I had accidentally glued a paper in here when I was gluing the papers, forgetting that we were putting that folded envelope thingy there, and so I had to rip it off. And that's why we had to glue this flip on first. Okay. And you can just use your thumbs with the flip as a size to, once you get the glue on, to make sure that you've got the bottom glued where you want it to be. Make little smears of glue in the corners. Then you will have enough glue that it takes a little bit longer for it to dry, so that you will have the ability to kind of slide it around for just a couple seconds there. Now it doesn't seem like, it seems like I'm going really fast down the edges, but I filled my bottle up and the glue is coming out at a fairly good clip. So, okay, we're going to glue this in. I'm going to line that card up with the bottom. I'm going to line the paper up with the edge and the top up here. And I'm going to move it over a little bit. I feel like this border is a little bit too wide. Oh, come on. See how easily that slides? So now I'm going to double check that I didn't slide it down too far, which I did. Okay. So that's our page, minus a tab and the writing card. Oh, that's not our page. I'm so sorry. We're not done. Now we're going to take our little coin envelope, and I was going to hold it on with a belly band, but now I'm not sure. I may just hold it on with a dot. That might be the easiest way. So we're going to glue this dragonfly onto here, and I'm going to glue it up here, and then down here I'm going to put the word dragonflies, and that comes with the kit. And I think that'll look nice. And yes, it has polka dots on the back. I had printed out on the back of the ephemera page because some of the ephemera was a little bit larger, and I wanted to make sure that those writing card kind of pieces had you know, print on the back. Okay, excuse my hair and my head. So we're going to glue that on. Then we're going to glue the word dragonflies on. I like that. Then for the inside of the envelope, we're going to make a puzzle. So the person that you give the book to has a puzzle to put together. Now, to make the puzzle, all you're going to do is cut this into 1 by 1 inch squares. In fact, that might be too big. I would recommend, since it's so difficult to cut that on your paper trimmer, let's see, we don't want any of the pieces any bigger than that. That's that, let's say this writing line. I knew it was around here somewhere. Okay. Let's make a little line there. And then measure and see how long that is. Yeah, I would say 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. So just make this into squares, little squares, 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. Let's measure this to make sure that it divides equally. Well, it's a little less than 2 inches long, so it's not going to. I mean 4 inches long. Yeah, it's 2 7/8. So let's see, 3/4 and 3/4 is 1 1/2, and 3/4 is 2 1/4. 3/4 is 3. So if we made it 3 3/4, if we cut an 1/8 off, it will cut out evenly. It looks like there's a little bit of white there, so I'm going to do it this way. I can do it this way, but the 1/8 is really hard to see. Okay, that looks bigger than an 1/8. So cut it up into pieces, put the pieces inside the little envelope. That'll be your puzzle. All right, I don't think I need to do that on camera for you to figure that out. What we are going to do is decide, see, I think because of this, I'm not sure that I want to use the belly band that I had picked out, plus it covers our decoration. So I think what I'm going to do, let me grab one real quick. Sorry about that. Forgot to grab it ahead of time. I was wondering if my cord was going to let me reach. It barely did. What I think I'm going to do is we're going to put it right here. And I think what I'm going to do, oh, I put a thumb grab here that was 5/8. Okay. I thought the video had stopped recording. I was going to have a heart attack, but the stupid screensaver came on for some reason, even though we were doing something. Anyway, I think that I'm going to tuck this in once we put the pieces in, maybe. Like that. And then put it on with a Velcro dot. Now all I need to do is decide where I want it. I think right there. I got a white one, which is clear on one side, and then the little fuzzy part is white. I ordered some more of these. I don't remember getting them. I'll have to double check. Now, the side that looks whiter is the white side. I want to put that where you don't see, where it's clear when you pull it off. Or do I want to make it clear on the back of the brown envelope? A quandary. I think I want it clear on the back of the envelope. No, I'm going to change my mind. So I'm just going to put it in the center of the envelope like a little belly button. Then I'm going to flip the envelope over. And I'm going to stick it where I want it, and I do not want it exactly in the center. I'm going to stick that on like that and give it a second for the sticky for the Velcro to stick on. And there we go. That's going to be our page. So what you have left to do is make your writing card to slide in here with a tab and put a tab on this writing card here, and then cut up your puzzle pieces, which those 3 things I don't think that I need to do on camera for you. And we're at 1 hour and 15 minutes anyway. So I think we're going to call this page done for this video, and I will see you in the next video, which will be a second for you and a day for me. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.